Alright ladies and gents, how you guys doing? Welcome to Apple Weekly number 28, broadcasting on both YouTube and iTunes. Got tons of exciting stories this week, so without wasting any more time, let's go straight into it. But before we start off, I'd like to thank parcelmonkey.co.uk for sponsoring iGlaswegian. It'd be good if you can check them out, link is in the description below. So the first story of this week is a Chinese teenager, 17-year-old, sold his kidney for what? An iPad 2. That is correct, you cannot make this stuff up. Why oh why has it come to this? That he must be the biggest fanboy that I've seen. I mean, yeah, I like Apple products, I buy them. I say good things about them, and I say the negative things about them, so I'm not just one-sided. But even then, I would never think about in a million years sell a body part. But here's the interesting thing, you know, he came back home with his iPad 2, and of course, by that time he'd given his kidney away for 20,000 yuan, local currency. And he came back home with his iPad 2, and he says, "Mum, look what I got an iPad 2, and she's like, "Where did you get that money from, son?" And he's like, "I sold my kidney." And needless to say, his mum kind of laid the smackdown on him in the nicest way possible. His mum contacted the police, and the police tried to get in touch with the guy who bought the kidney, and he's not picking his phone up. Well, hey, not a surprise there. But here's my question to you. If you were to buy an Apple product, whether it be an iPad 2, an iPhone, or any Apple product, or even if you wanted to kind of shake Steve Jobs' hand, what body part would you sell and why? So moving on to the second story of this week, and it's a pretty beastly story as well. A guy got his MacBook stolen from his house overnight. The same day, logically, he filed a report with the police department. No response from the police department for a whole month. And the guy kind of had enough. Now the guy had a software called Hidden installed on the MacBook, and basically this allows him to kind of check or use the webcam on the MacBook itself, check it remotely, check what's happening on his MacBook, and needless to say he could see the thief. And some of the pictures of the thief are shown up on your screen, and God knows what this guy was up to, but after looking at these pictures, I probably wouldn't want to touch that MacBook, it's safe to say. Wouldn't you guys agree? I don't know what he's been up to, but it doesn't look good. Sticky keys for the win. So the guy created a blog pretty much after a month after the police weren't doing anything, so he created the blog and he tweeted it out. After that tweet it just went viral. All the big news stations, even the Macs, the Mac rumour websites, 9to5Mac, Mac Stories, Cult of Mac, then you had the big publications like CNET, CNN, and they really got interested in the story. And then the PR guys over at the police station thought there was a fantastic opportunity to come up on top and, you know, get this straight and look good for the press. And then they said, okay, we'll open the files up, and then, you know, they chased up, and the guy's got his MacBook back, which is the good thing, or maybe the bad thing. Now moving on to some serious stories, which is, I guess, what you're all here for. WWDC is on Monday. I'm going to talk about the facts, what we know. Steve Jobs is going to come on stage. This is official. He's going to talk about iOS 5. He's going to talk about Mac OS Line and iCloud, which we don't know what iCloud is. There's tons of rumours that Apple has recently signed up big music labels, Universal, Sony, but there's nothing concrete. So anything you hear from now until Monday, you know, don't take it too seriously. We're that close anyway, so why talk about it? You know, it might happen, it might not happen. It's not, you know, a month down the line. It's Monday. Whether the keynote is going to be live streamed, we do not know. Also, here's some pictures of the actual Moscone Centre where WWDC is being held. And it's interesting because it's got the, as you can see, iOS 5 plus Mac OS Line plus iCloud equals WWDC. So what does that really kind of mean? As you could probably tell, I'm not that good at math, so I'm really looking forward to come Monday. Come next week, generally, because WWDC, then we've got E3 as well. I've got a gaming channel for those of you who don't know where I upload gameplays and commentaries to. Should you wish to check it out, the link is on your screen. And then speaking of WWDC, there's been low stock on the Airport Extreme and time capsules across Apple stores kind of globally. Stock shortages have been reported, and usually, as with any Apple product, when you see a low stock or out of stock, it kind of raises the question, refresh. And that's what I'm kind of thinking. You know, you've got iCloud, even although there's no information on it, but kind of makes sense to have something, you know, storing or something of a change, I guess. Just today there's been suggestions by Ars Technica who say that the time capsule is going to get the A4 and A5 chips, which is insane because, you know, the Apple TV has the A4 and A5 chip, so does the iPad 2. So could we really see some kind of interaction between your iPod Touch or your iPhone or your iPad directly with the time capsule? I don't know, but the future, I mean, it's kind of a strange one for a time capsule device. The Apple TV is understandable, but I'm really kind of excited for this WWDC, even although we're not entirely sure if we're going to get any hardware bumps. But although I'm pretty certain we're going to get a MacBook Air refresh come this month. Whether it happens on WWDC, I don't know, but it'd be wise to kind of do something at WWDC for the back to school program. But I'm not going to dedicate too much time on WWDC since it's around the corner, and since the rumours might happen, might not happen, might want to push this story up a little bit so I can come in the front page of the news. Nah, I'm not going to waste my time on it. Just before going on, 9to5Mac has a good write-up on the time capsule and what the update could potentially be. Apparently there's been internal testing, as with any kind of new Apple product. It goes through a number of stages internally inside the Cupertino HQ, or Apple HQ shall I say. And the way in which time capsule is going to work as such, the time capsule is going to detect which devices you have that are Wi-Fi enabled. So if there is a Mac OS X update, software update, or if there's an iOS software update, it will automatically download those files for you and then store it on the actual router or time capsule itself, so you don't have to do any clicks. And then whenever you want, you can just install it rather than having to download the whole thing manually or by clicking a button. And if you've got, this is especially good for those of you who are maybe on slower connections and you're saying, you know what, I can't be bothered, and then you might forget to download it. It will store it locally, so when you're ready, it will just install it, which is, pretty neat. And of course that brings into question the over-the-air iOS updates that I kind of mentioned in my wish list. I'd like the iOS updates on the iPhone to just be over the air rather than syncing it into your iTunes. But I've got an entire video up on my iOS 5 wish list. If you haven't seen it, you can click on the screen, you can go directly to that video. And last but not least, I know this Apple Weekly is shortly, but there's kind of not that much information going in circulation. These are the things that I thought, okay, that would be good for this week's Apple Weekly. As merchandising has appeared in a couple of Apple stores worldwide, and basically these are not to be opened until Tuesday. They have embargoes on them, so retail stores or the managers or the merchandisers can't open them or even touch the packages. Someone from the store managed to take a photo, as you can see on your screen, and man, I am excited. It could just be posters, but then again, what would they be posters of? Because surely it can't be posters of Mac OS X Live or iOS 5, because don't the developers have to kind of have a few weeks with the software, this new software to kind of test their apps before it goes out to mainstream. So one of the things I'm not expecting to happen at WWDC is the keynote ending saying Lion is available as of today. It won't happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to need more time, or a good couple of weeks, for the gold master release in the hands of developers so they can test it out fully, and then the retail stores and online stores can have all the marketing, Lion is here, Lion is coming. Why would they specifically send it before WWDC and then open it on Tuesday? It doesn't make sense, and I'm thinking it's something to do with hardware updates, or at least that's kind of my wish or my hope. Either the Mac Mini, the MacBook, or what I want, the MacBook Air, which I will be getting if it gets refreshed. I hope it is. But guys, that's it for this week in Apple. I hope you liked it. If you can like the video, that would be great. If you can rate, comment and subscribe to the channel, that would be absolutely fantastic. If not a problem, continue to watch it however you like it. Remember, if you're watching on iTunes, if you can also rate or comment, the podcast user would be a legend and a half. Guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in another life. Cheers. Looking to send a package at the lowest price possible? Simple. Visit parcelmonkey.co.uk, follow these 4 simple steps, have the package collected from your doorstep, and then sit back and relax.